Zachary. The pleasant aroma hits me long before I cross this threshold. Faint but light and warm, a reminder of what home is. Pa's stern but commanding gaze, Ma's tender smiles, the sunlight filtering through the eaves in the morning. And the distant smell of cinnamon and vanilla as it drifts through the air every time something cooks from the room. The room, our room, Ma and Pa's pride and joy. My sister and I, too, eventually. But we ain't allowed there. Not yet. Not until we're taller and older. Not until we've learned how to take care of ourselves and not burn our hands or reach the cupboards without having to be lifted.
But a little peek wouldn't hurt, yeah?
The floorboards are cold under my feet, more than it usually is. The walls more forbidding than what I've used to. Further and further the room goes. My singing ceases.
Oh, please wait! I'll be good! I'll sleep on time! Don't go!
I can't hear Pa. Zachary, no! Not above the ruckus clinging and the deafening roar of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There is only the blinding fear. When my foot slips, the Red Sea that catches me is bitter and frigid, but the blood that drips in my hand is warm, warm, warm. It ain't my blood. The walls tumble and everything goes quiet. Dots. That's so depressing. What happened? How old are you? You are... really? Wait. Yes? Wow. You're 31? That's... really? I didn't expect you to be that old. I guess everyone's a bit older in this game. Because Isabella is 26, and she seems to be the youngest of the group, really. Then Hannah's 31, Zach's 31, 6 foot, freelance photographer, American, agnostic, diploma in digital film, likes pie, photography, film, documentaries, cooking, acoustic guitar, video games. Yes. Okay. Before his parents' death, he lived in New Jersey where his family owned a diner and bakery. He and his older sister were orphaned due to a hate crime, and they were forced to move to England where their grandparents lived. That explains the documentary thing, yeah, that he did. Yeah, he had left cooking, helping out with their old diner, but grew lazy and disinterested after the incident. It did not help that he was one of the few blacks in a predominantly white community at the time. Yep, okay. His passion for the visual arts was sparked when he found old Polaroids and home movies of his parents. Freelancing helped pay his rent, and the man had long set his sights on the indie film scene. It was during the creation of his first documentary that a robbery occurred, and Ashton was there to investigate. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time led to Zachary being placed as a suspect, but the rookie detective helped clear his name. That's... oh my god, boy, stop it! I still can't get over that he's 31. I just can't. But yeah, but it's his choice. I mean, I'm almost 25 and I'm a virgin, so... I mean, actually, it never actually... well... that'd be weird if you've never had your first kiss, but you're not a virgin. That'd be weird. His stories. Wow. God damn, Zach. Lots of story development. Jesus Christ. Oh, wow. That's a weird ending thing. Oh, Christ. A lot of things gonna happen for Zach. Morning has not yet arrived, and yet...
Way too early for this thing, man.
and too long too long since the last time I've woken up drenched in my own sweat, heads littered with thoughts that are gone as soon as my eyes open. All too often, only imprints and brief images are left to haunt me for the rest of my life, the rest of my day, or until my mind forgets about it. Egon, whichever comes first. Yet, vivid or not, what little I can remember does not matter. Regardless, the description sticks, clawing up, pushing, urging me to relive every moment, every sensation, and there's a twinkle in Ma's eyes when she looks up from her work, flour dusting her nose and cheeks. The scent of freshly baked bread wafts from the oven as soon as Pa opens it, and the homely fragrance of honey fills the room. Is that cornbread? Is that cornbread? Or not? I don't know. Is there honey bread? He reaches up to wipe the small beads of sweat away from his forehead before gesturing for me to come closer the moment he spots me on my little hiding place behind the door. I expected him to be angry, but his pat on my back when I come within his arm reach is encouraging enough. We'll have to taste these first before we put it up for sale tomorrow. You up for that, little man? Is it good enough? A knock cuts through the air before I can answer. Sharp, heavy, demanding, familiar. So distantly familiar. Ma ushers me out of the kitchen when Pa moves to answer it. But I know what waits outside. The taste of blood in my mouth sends an unpleasant churning in my gut. Ma's apron crinkles under my tight grip. Something snaps back into place. My bed remains in utter disarray. The walls still need a new paint job, and the wall clock ticking opposite my bed is unsettling as ever. Ash is right. I should have already replaced that when I had the chance.
You're no longer there, Zachary. Here and there are miles apart. Calm down. Breathe.
The pressure of my own fingers against my temple was a welcome sensation over the anxiety gripping me. It never really did anything to starve off the headache, sure to follow after this before, but it grounds me. A little reminder that I am safe, away from the place I once called home, from Ma's and Pa's. The urgency with each rep that follows finally chases away the ghost threatening to hang around. Why anyone thinks it's a good idea to knock at someone's door this late confuses me. Nana would chase them all away with a broom if she was here. But no matter, it's a welcome break from the thoughts about to take a morbid turn if left festering. It's probably just Ash anyway, looking for a place to crash. Wonder of wonders why he's bothering with a courtesy when he never did so before. Even with that hunch, though, habit compels me to check who is it first through the peephole. Better safe than sorry, they say. Except the person that greets me on the other side ain't him, sorry. I have to... Actually, there's a lot of... He says ain't and ma and pa, and those are very southern terms. So maybe he's from the south? I don't know. Maybe. Unless his hair grew longer overnight and he started wearing a ponytail, of course, which I highly doubt will happen anytime soon, no matter how funny that looks in my head. I waste no time opening the latches.
Isabella, it's late.
There's something I can't quite pinpoint in her eyes when she looks up. Her face is pallid shade, shoulders tense, breathing heavy, and an uncomfortable shaking in her hands she's trying to hold back. This has to be right after we escaped from her office. Hide if I didn't know any better.
Hey, Zach. Sorry, I know it's weird for me to show up at this hour, but You are the closest to my office, and...
No, it's perfectly fine. I'm not really working on anything right now. Do you want to come in?
Is it all right? I know you should be sleeping at this hour, but I thought... I'm sorry, I just thought... I have no idea why I went here. My feet just moved on their own after I got out of the office, and... Sorry.
She trails off, her voice lost in the muggy night air. I wait for her to say more, but instead her only response is a downward shift of her gaze back to her still trembling hands, as if the motion alone is enough of an explanation. A minuscule gesture? Easy to miss if one is not paying attention. But for someone who has seen the same expression on the mirror, done the same thing too many times, when night terrors are uneventful, it is not.
Hey, don't worry about it. At least you not. Ash just barges in and crashes on the couch whenever he feels like it. I swear that guy is one fine hairline away from being a criminal.
Without waiting for her answer, I step away from the door and what the fuck? Santer over the kitchenette? I'm guessing he doesn't have a full kitchen, because if the background art says enough, it's probably just like a one-room apartment type of situation. For a few good seconds, only the clinking of plates can be heard above the constant tick-tock. Late as it may be, for a snack, the familiar motion keeps me occupied. There's supposed to be an S there. Keeps me occupied, stirring my mind away from dangerous thoughts. Isabella's company is not unwelcome either. Whatever her reasons for shying up here at such an hour doesn't matter. I'll be damned if I just turn her away, frazzled as she is. The door clicks shut behind her when she finally enters, feet shuffling softly against the tiled floor. In all the years I've known her, she's never once lost her ever upbeat spirit. Yet in this particular moment, she stands in my doorway, holding her arms close to herself. It's as if I'm looking at someone completely withdrawn from the person I've come to know all these years.
Do you want a drink or eat anything? I haven't restocked my food stash yet, so ingredients may be a bit limited. But I'm sure I can whip something up with what I have here.
Just water will do, please. Thanks, Zach.
What? No additional food requests? That's new. I'll put something together for you anyway. Feel free to make yourself at home. You ain't exactly a new visitor here. Although my room's not at its most presentable right now. Sorry, new freelance gigs and such. Didn't have time to fix things up here lately.
It's okay. I don't mind.
Usually she'd have something more to say about that. A quip, a witty remark to evoke a laughter or two. Nothing from her this time. Only a weak smile before she takes a seat on the couch, and a silence that stretches out until what we left hanging feels disconcerting. Before everything turns stiffly and awkward, I continue talking, if only to keep the dead air at bay. How is one supposed to keep a conversation going when the person you're talking to is like this?
Anyway, gigs. Can you believe this one client we got? Boss had all my scheduled shoots shifted after they caught wind of this couple buying a new property. Man, must be nice to have all the money in the world. The world itself moves for you, huh?
She's curled up on one side of the couch, hugging her knees close when I bring the tray carrying the sandwiches and the water she requested. She starts to straighten up as I'm unloading the contents, but pauses as soon as I hold up my hand in a halting gesture.
You're a guest. Didn't I say you're free to make yourself at home? Here's your water. Careful.
He's sweet. He's cute. How the hell has a girl not dated him yet? Though I'm gonna be honest, it's probably his choice of not dating anyone. He's probably had like multiple crushes in the urge to date, but he just is probably too afraid to, especially with his parents dying. I can see that happening. Like, I would be afraid to get close to anyone if my parents died. Certainly in a romantic sense, because you're afraid that you'll lose them, like you lost your parents. That's just my observation. The tremor in her hands, though, lighter now, still hasn't subsided when she reaches out for the glass. I give her a questioning look, but she is quick to avert her eyes, keeping herself occupied by taking small gulps of water. Or maybe she just doesn't want me asking questions, worrying. The sudden loss of words is about of quiet not normally present in our chats. Even the creaking in the old chair when I casually take the seat isn't a welcome break. Although the company's familiar, this has gone way past unnerving.
What happened? Overtime at work?
She doesn't answer immediately. Another gulp drains her glass of its remaining contents. One would think it'd be enough to help her recover, yet she doesn't lose her taut grip on the glass as she cradles it on her lap. Her eyes take an unfocused gaze when she speaks again.
Yeah. Boss handed me extra work today. After what happened to Rose.
Rose? Why do I feel like you've mentioned her before? Sorry, I'm better with remembering faces than names.
I'm the same exact way. I'm very good with faces. Shit for names.
She was my coworker. That will take some getting used to. I was just talking to her the other day.
Was? Did she resign or something? I think I'm missing a few details here, Bella.
You've never met her. I think I did mention her once or twice. It doesn't matter. You probably heard her name recently from the news than me.
Something clicks then. A little memory from the night before. The bright red light from the dark room, the strong odor of the stop bath, the television's barely audible murmur in the background, and a glimpse of a bloody room. The news is everywhere, even in the morning that follows. I didn't think its effect will strike someone this close to me.
Oh. Damn. I didn't mean to bring that up.
No, like I said, it'll take some getting used to, but it'll get better. I hope it will. Things might become a little busier for me, though. She left a lot of things unfinished, and I'm one of the few people in the office who knows how she works. Boss thinks the transition will be easier if I handle it.
That explains it. Well, just don't forget you still need rest. Even the most hard-working people I know don't keep hours as late as this. Hell, the subway stopped running hours ago. Crime rate might be lower here than most places, but that doesn't mean you can walk around freely in the middle of the night.
It's just for today.
Still a good thing you dropped by here first. I'm not just about to let you walk out here alone, especially not in the middle of the night. Who knows what else could happen? I'm not saying you should go right now, but I could accompany you home if you...
No! Wait, please!
The vitamin, whatever tension in her voice makes me pause. And it is this instant the max she's been keeping up falls apart. If only for a short while. Right then and there I understand what's hiding behind her unfocused stare from the moment she arrived. Fear. Pure, unadulterated fear. It's disturbing to see such marring her usual upbeat countenance. With a sigh, I cross the small distance separating us and kneel in front of her. She doesn't flinch when I do this. However, the way she appears to make herself smaller against the couch is telling enough.
Bella, this ain't just about your coworker, is it? What is it really about? I'm all ears.
The sound of glass shattering rents through the air as soon as her holding on it loosens. In the span of a few seconds, her breath grows labored.
I don't know anymore.
She clasps her hands over her ears, pressing it tightly against the sides of her head. Her voice grows weaker with each word, each plea coming out of her mouth.
Please don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone right now. I can't shake it off. Everywhere's not safe and...
Hide, Isabella. Look at me.
My hands are firm on her shoulders when I pull her up to look at me. It takes every force of will to ignore the terror in her eyes in favor of taking control of the situation. Too close, too familiar.
Breathe. Breathe. You're safe here. Inhale, hold, exhale. Stay in the present. I'm here. I'm here. No one's gonna hurt you. Do you want to talk about it?
The force with which she shakes her head is enough to reason to drop the topic altogether.
No more. Please. No more. I don't want to remember anymore.
Kate, no more talking. I won't ask any more. Can I get you anything? Another glass of water? I think I have a tub of that pistachio ice cream you love so much. We're gonna have to clean this mess first. Will you be fine on your own for a little while?
She nods lightly before retreating into herself again. No more words are exchanged after that, and I take that as a cue to start cleaning the shards littering the floor before either one of us gets hurt. The quick hum of the AC is pleasant distraction as I go over the menial task. More so than her ragged draws of breath or this little feeble attempts to tell a quick story or two, but the latter does the trick. And soon enough, she already drifts off by the time I return with the promised glass of water, her chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm, the strain on her shoulders gone. Frankly, I've never seen her like this still. She mumbles something I don't quite catch when I carry her to the empty bed and hugs herself tightly against the mess of blankets. In spite of the fact that she appears relaxed, the small frown on her face hasn't quite disappeared. Whatever happened to her won't be leaving her anytime soon. But for her sake, I hope it won't stay long with her. There are still questions left to be answered. But the late hour, coupled with the sudden exhaustion, made my old couch a more comfortable bed than it typically is. A frightened Isabella Santos knocked on Zachary's apartment in the middle of the night. Shaken, she refuses to say what happened. Zachary let her stay regardless. Okay. It's sweet, though, that, he made her sleep in the bed and he had the couch. If he didn't do that, that'd be weird and unpolite and rude. Gonna be honest. Especially with how she seems. Darkness immediately welcomes me as soon as my head hits the makeshift pillow. I can only wish the dreams will keep at a distance for now, for both of us. October 25th, Tuesday. Oh, I just realized it's almost Halloween for them. Huh, okay. The first few notes, while muffled, are enough to wake me. In the end, it became one of those nights when sleep passes like a blink and is plagued with vague, fuzzy thoughts. I lift a hand to rub away the drowsiness from my eyes, although it does little to relieve the gritty, burning sensation from my eyeballs. Outside, the sun has yet to peek over the horizon, but night has already given way to the cool morning light, washing everything in subtle gray hues. At this hour, the entire city remains unstirring. Ordinarily, waking up before my own alarm means abusing the snooze button twice or thrice just to catch those previous few extra minutes of sleep. But the persistent ringing makes it impossible now.
This better be good.
Groggily, sorry, I was distracted by his morning voice. Okay. Groggily, I scramble for the bag sitting at the foot of the bed. Of course, it's Ash. The ringing still doesn't stop, even as I fish the phone out, and Ashton's name flashes brightly on the screen when I turn it on. Of course, it's Ash. Must be pretty urgent if he hasn't dropped the call yet.
Took you long enough, Z-Man.
Ashton, it's 6 in the morning. Sun hasn't even risen. Hell, my brain ain't even awake yet.
This is like the best ever.
Stop calling me Z-Man.
It's 20 past 6, Zach.
You want to talk? Give me back my 5 extra minutes, Ash. I want my sleep.
Hey, don't make fun of me. I can be a more person too if I want to.
What's this all really about? You don't usually make calls around this hour. Is the world ending today?
Sorry about that. Becca rang me up a few minutes ago looking for Isabella. Said she didn't show up in her own apartment last night. We both tried calling, but her phone seems to be off. Do you have any idea where...
I should have known you two would come looking for her first thing in the morning.
Not a laughing matter, Zach. You can't really let your guard down with everything that's happened here recently. You've heard about the Cooper woman from the news. Everyone in the precinct has been restless ever since the incident the other day.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Listen, Ash, about Bella.
I let my voice trail off, unsure of how to go about recounting last night. If I should just say anything to him. He might be a close friend, but at the end of the day, whatever's bothering her ain't mine to speak of in the first place. On the bed, Isabella remains as still as if I transferred the night before. Sometime during her sleep, she pulls up a blanket over herself and tucked it comfortably. Like this, it's easy to forget fuck. Almost.
I'm not really sure how to go about this while being...
Zach, what about her?
Something, the worry, the concern must have surfaced in my tone because his own shifts then. Carefully, as if he's preparing for the worst.
Look, you don't have to worry about her. She's with me right now. Since last night, in fact.
Oh, why didn't you just say so earlier?
She kinda knocked in the middle of the night. I couldn't possibly wake you two over that. And with how things are when she arrived, I thought it'd be best if I let her rest first. I just wasn't expecting people would be looking for her before the rooster even crows.
You could have at least called her something. Becca's beside herself with worry when she found out. You know how much she frets about the smallest stuff.
I know. I'm sorry. That was a lapse on my part. And I just didn't think, okay, you know what? Rebecca's worries ain't completely baseless. Isabella hasn't been her usual self since the movie. Maybe even before that. I don't know if I should be opening my mouth about this, but Bella didn't outright say I shouldn't, so...
So something's wrong then?
I'm not quite sure, to be completely honest. I couldn't get the story out of her.
Really? I thought you'd learned something from me by now.
That's not it. Ash, when she appeared at my doorstep last night, she was shaking, and when I tried to ask her about it, she just panicked. Had this frightened look on her face. I'd be surprised if this was the first time I've seen it, but it ain't. Dude, the first time, she was screaming.
First time? When was this? You weren't talking about the thing in the movie house, are you? Because that was just us fooling around. Granted, I think I went overboard with the joke, but...
No, it happened the day after. When she invited us to lunch, you weren't there. We were walking one second, and then the next, she's crying out. I'll be straight with you. That scared me shitless.
It bothered him if the way he falls silent after is telling. Whatever his opinion is, whatever his opinion is stays absent. It stays absent from his voice when he speaks again. He's always been good with that, hiding what he thinks.
Did she say anything else?
Nothing. Won't tell me anything aside from a few vague words. I didn't want to push it.
Where is she? Is she still sleeping?
Right here with me, still sleeping. Should I wake her up or something? Let her know you guys are looking for her?
No need. Let her rest. I'll drop by in a few.
Today? Don't you have work at this time? I mean, I can drop her off home myself before meeting my client later.
Look who's talking.
My schedule's flexible, Ash. Last time I checked, you're the one who didn't have that luxury. How on earth do you think I'm able to tag along when you need me?
It's not completely out of the way.
They live on the other side of the town from you, Ash. Your definition of out of the way is a little screwed up, you know.
It's fine. I have some things I need to do anyway. I'll call you back. I've got to let Becca know that Scared Cat's fine.
Boy! No! banging on the fucking glass door? Jesus. Sorry about my dog. You're gonna hear him in the background a lot. Come morning, Zachary received a phone call from Ashton, who's looking for Isabella. Zach informed him that she stayed over and of the circumstances. Before ending the call, Ash offered to pick her up. Of course he did. That sweet piano music! God. He drops the call before I can even get a word in. And for several minutes after, I find myself simply listening at the rest of Luxmore and Rouse's. The increasing sound of passing traffic, the bustle of the nearby shops preparing for the day, and the increasing clamor of the people while they go about their morning. Not the most soothing sounds to hear following a troubled night, but the routine puts me at ease nevertheless. What's comforting, what's safe, and what I'm used to. Nearby, Isabella shifts, but doesn't wake up, blissfully unaware as the city slowly stirs itself back to life. Was her night as restless as the one I had, but her dreams as lucid? In a hushed moments, this I envy her. Unreasonable, possibly, probably a little unfair to say such in light of last night. If only forgetting is as easy as breathing. Okay, I wanna comment briefly. The voice acting in this game is actually really fucking good. Especially the guy that plays Zach. Because there's certain things he is able to say with the right amount of emotion. That's the same for all the voice actors in this game, but particularly Zach. He's really good at like putting the emotion in there. That's just me. And that's coming from someone that's actually thought about voice acting. It is actually really hard to actually put your emotions there, and it feels real when you listen to it. A small yawn escapes me when I rise from the couch to stretch. Luckily, the short conversation with Ash was effectively driven away. Any will to go back to bed. I still have a day to get through despite the proverbial ghosts hanging around. Why do you have pills? The orange bottle sitting at the edge of my table is reassuring against my palm the instant I pick it up. The sterile odor of the castle is equally so. Yet the weight they carry is something I have never gotten used to. Years ago, I'd spend minutes, heck even hours, staring at a single pill prior to taking one in. Now just a routine, a way of stave away the unwanted nightly visits. Although I don't think Dr. Navarro will be quite pleased if he ever finds out I'm relying on them again. I do owe him a visit regardless, especially after missing our appointments on purpose and ignoring his calls for weeks. I'm guessing that the doctor he's referring to is his therapist or psychiatrist. Another sigh comes out, tired and weary, and then I pop the tablet in my mouth.
Zach? What time is it?
The bottle in my hand hits the table with more force than necessary. As much as I trust my friends, there are some things I'd rather keep to myself.
Morning, Bella. Did you sleep well?
Okay. I don't know what people give, like, drugs to people in, but I'm guessing those are prescription drugs given to them by a doctor, and I'm guessing those are either anxiety or depression drugs. One or the other. At an extreme, it could be a more extreme drug. I don't know. It's probably, what I'm getting the feeling from it, it's probably an antidepressant or something. Morning, Bella. Did you sleep well? That's adorable. She answers the question with a long, drawn-out yawn, one reminiscent of a child. A chuckle manages to come out of my mouth at the sight. In this manner, it's easy to mistake her for someone too young for responsibilities, inexperienced and immature even. Easy to forget she has thrust into the role. Easy to forget she was thrust into the role of an adult earlier than her own dreams can afford. To overlook how surprisingly observant she can be at times. Maybe not in the same level Ash experiences for his investigations or Rebecca needs for her own work, but it's certainly enough to I have no idea, put what she sees around her on campus. And if the way her eyes flickers to the table, my hand says something. It is that I won't be able to avoid the questions this
Only
time.
a little. I don't remember how I ended up on the bed, though.
My doing. You didn't look very comfortable sleeping on the couch, all hunched up like that.
It would have been enough for something temporary. Sorry I stole your bed.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Besides, what kind of gentleman would I be if I leave a lady sleeping in such uncomfortable conditions?
See, that's cute. That I did say, like, it would, like, especially with how she was the night before, like, she would need, it was nice. It was a nice gesture to have her have a more comfortable place to sleep, especially after her night. So, it was just nice.
Not in this house. My nana would give me a tough scolding if I ever did that, I'm telling you.
Thanks a lot, Zach. I know I barged in at a very inconvenient time last night. I wasn't really thinking when I did, and...
Hey, it's cool, Bella. I ain't mad at you. That's what friends do. You guys are welcome here anytime, although Ashton abuses the anytime part a lot. I don't really mind. We might have less wiggle room if all four of us are present, considering the size of this place. But as long as no one makes anything explode, it's totally fine.
Fine or not, I still owe you one for last night's trouble, especially since you don't seem to be...
A concerned expression passes over her features as she spares another curious glance over the table, back to the bottle holding every small piece of what keeps the bad memories at bay. The blood blooming over Pa's heart, the horrified look on Ma's face as she watches him fall lifeless to the ground, and every ounce of spite steeping from the stranger's smile. You don't belong here. The monkeys don't belong here. That never stops, doesn't it?
Well, you don't seem to be feeling well. Let me know, okay? I'll make it up to you somehow.
She makes a slight gesture with her head towards the bottle, asking a question without really asking. Subtly has never has never been one of her greatest assets, but right now even Ash would have been a little amazed if not at loss of words at that. She has left it up to me whether I'll give her the response she wants to hear or not. A little clever coming from her if anyone would ask me. Play it off, tell the truth. I just want to tell the truth. What did Dad do? Oh, wait. No, okay, yeah, she did like it because I remember I did something in Isabella's chapter that made their relationship go down. They're back to normal. But it's never easy, ain't it? Talking about my own problems, that is. It never will be. Not by a long shot. Not even I've let it stay this way for so long. I realized that long ago when the wounds are still fresh and the dreams are a nightly occurrence. Can't force myself to get better, move on to better things. It is what's normal now, and I can only cope. The question in her eyes may be unwarranted, born simply out of curiosity and sincere concern for a friend. I don't owe her an explanation, in fact. But of all the people I keep close in my life, she's probably one of the very few who perhaps I can trust with this. Maybe she won't understand entirely. I can never hope she will. No, never to the full extent. That alone is expecting too much of her and giving too much of what I can. However, for all her shortcomings, I know she'll hear me out. And that is all I can ask for her.
My bad. I was kinda hoping you wouldn't have seen me with these.
The pills rattle lightly against the container when I gently set it back to its usual place. Always a small area, closet closest to my laptop near the right hand. Within reach, whenever in quiet reminder of what I shouldn't miss every day.
What? Oh, is it bad? I was just thinking that maybe it's a cold like Becca's. Do you need me to get anything from the store? Soup or something? There's one nearby, right? I can run real quick and...
No, nothing of that sort. I'm perfectly healthy right now. It's really difficult to say, but can you promise me you'll listen at least?
What is this about, Zach?
I should have been upfront with you about this a long time ago. Well, Ashton found out without me telling him anything. But you already know how that guy is. Can't hide anything from him.
If it's something you're having trouble saying, you don't have to force yourself to tell me. I'll forget I ever saw anything and won't ask questions. Promise.
No, I need to get this off my chest eventually. Besides, we're already here. Might as well finish what I started, yeah?
If you say so.
She takes a seat on the couch, her posture easy and open, her smile honest. As if just a simple talk between two friends on a regular day. It is far from one, but her unreserved air is enough to stamp down the twinge of unease that threatens to come out.
Let's hear it then.
Feels like yesterday. She does. True to her words, she listens while the story spills out of my mouth of my mom and pa. That little old diner across the pond, what is left in my day, what it left in me that day. I can't recall most of it now, my own account jagged with a few missing details here and there. The passing years have eroded most of my recollection of the whole incident. All except that one moment in the kitchen. The ringing of gunshots are as vivid as it sounded that day. Even Ma's hysterical screams the moment Pa's body hits the floor motionless, his lifeblood flowing out from under him. And the gunman, he was smiling. He was smiling when Pa opened the door to welcome him. He was smiling when he put a bullet to Pa's chest and Ma's head. I've heard stories of how the world can be a cruel place for people like us before. I never believed until that moment.
Nan and Gran took us right after that. Sis and I flew straight to New Jersey as soon as they heard the news. A few days after, Ma and Pa were laid to rest. And we have a new home a continent away. I didn't even get the chance to take my favorite pillow with me.
So pretty much they lived in New Jersey, so the New York area.
They said something about the change of environment will be good for us. They had no idea the different kind of ghosts would follow me here.
Expected questions, mostly those brimming like childlike curiosity, and maybe some that are a little hard to answer. But to her credit, she just sat there, lent her ears, and looked at me with no exceptions or unnecessary judgment in her eyes. She appears wiser and older like this, easier to see the breadwinner in her. Her younger siblings are lucky to have her. When I'm done, after everything's been said, she wraps her arms around me. A bit awkward, considering the gap in our height, but it gets her sentiment across. And it's difficult to answer in kind. If I even supposed to I'm supposed to give back the gesture given her to earlier apprehensions. She pulls away shortly with a smile on her face. Not the reaction I braced myself for, but it's obviously better than what I imagined.
Are you not gonna say anything?
Am I supposed to say anything after? Like, apologize or something? I don't think that's very appropriate, but if you want to hear one, I can think of something real quick.
Not really. Other people have something to say after usually. And they're not necessarily nice either.
Oh? Okay then. I won't. I can't think of something anyway. Sorry. I'm not very good with this. Who else knows, by the way?
My older sister, grandparents, and just Ash and you for now. Maybe I think I should tell Rebecca too, but...
But not right now?
Yeah, not right now. When I'm ready. Like today.
I'm sure she'll be willing to hear you out once you do.
I don't doubt she will. I'm more afraid of how she'll react after. One step at a time, yeah? Whew! Surprisingly, it feels good to get that one out my chest. I was a little afraid you'd be angrier. I didn't tell you earlier than today.
I'm not angry. I'm just surprised. You didn't look like it. I wouldn't have suspected. I suppose that's how it often is, isn't it? We all have our... what's the word Becca uses? Inner demons? But this is something personal to you. I understand why you'd rather have a few people know.
That too. Well, these past few weeks haven't been easy for you. I didn't want to add that. Not after last night.
Something passes in her face briefly, brief, fleeting, and disappears right before I can recognize what it is.
You okay?
Yep, no worries. I'll be fine. Look, about last night, never mind. This isn't a good time, but don't lose sleep over this, alright? What's important is you got what you want to say out, and if you need me, I'll be here.
I should be relieved. Her words are more than reassuring to my ears. There should be comfort in hearing those alone, in knowing I have another person to rely on if things ever go bad. And somehow, I find myself worrying more for her instead. I'll make another attempt to get the story out of her if I can. But this is a dance, I know all too well, and with her, I doubt forcing her to say something would yield any results. As much as I want to intimidate Ash, there's only so much I can ask that won't result in something a little over... There's a lot of words in this game that I'm just like, what the fuck is that supposed to say? Diasterous? I also have speech problems, so there's that. At best, she'll stop talking to me until a week passes. At worst, I'd rather not risk it. I've never seen her angry. Outright annoyed, maybe and often directed at Ash, but never furious. What do they say about happiest people when angered? Besides, it'd be unfair to her after our little chat.
So, food then?
That's adorable. She seems relieved at the brisk change of subject, as if it's been simply waiting for its cue. All this time, her stomach rumbles at the mention of food. Rather loudly, as a matter of fact.
Alrighty, Missy. We're going to get some chow now. Better be quick, though. Can't have your stomach starting a revolution on us here.
Don't make fun of me! I'm not that hungry. Maybe a little. I didn't think I'd end up skipping dinner last night.
And now we have one starved stomach protesting. Sorry, it'll be nothing fancy, since I'm a little low on stocks. I should probably drop by the grocery store after the meeting this afternoon.
I can make a quick run for you if you want.
Nah, I've got enough to put together something nice here. Maybe. I could always improvise if we're missing an ingredient or two. It ain't like we're going for a Michelin 3-star status here. Also, didn't I say you're a guest? Is this a Filipino thing? Or just Rebecca rubbing off on you?
The soft laughter that comes from her doesn't quite reach her eyes. Neither the answer neither. Because if she stays idle, she'll remember.
On second thought, I might need a little help slicing up the potatoes while I prep the ham. You up for that?
What? Do you think instant noodles are all I'm about? I'll have you know, I can cook a mean paella with my eyes closed. All my siblings love it.
Sure you can. Come on. I think I know what we'll do with those spare ingredients.
You never really said what the drugs were. Isabella saw Zach taking unknown medicine and, concerned, asks what it is for. He admits he's suffering from a trauma ever since his parents are killed in a hate crime. Isabella could only offer him a comforting hug to lighten the mood. The two decide to cook breakfast afterwards. I just realized what those drugs are. They're probably drugs that treat PST. Wow. I am all sorts of speech problems this morning. PTSD? There we go. It's just like dyslexia is a thing. Yeah, that's what I'm guessing is happening, because night terrors do happen with that condition. And I know there's drugs out there that treat PTSD. So it's probably what that drug's for. But why would the doctor be upset that he's taking them again if it treats his PTSD, not PSTD? God. Despite the massive effort to keep the mood light with small chatter, cooking ends up being a mostly quiet affair. Between us, the constant slapping of the knife against the board and the muffled noise from the television I left running, words have become surprisingly difficult to string together. Not entirely unusual. We've had moments like this before, but definitely unnerving with how things are now. I really wish someone else will come knocking at the door. As pleasant as this is, breaking the ice or keeping the conversation going has never been my forte. That has always been Isabella's or Rebecca's department. Sometimes Ash, although most coming from him border on awkward or embarrassing. Speaking of the guy, he never did call back. I'm willing to bet my entire yearly salary that he fell right back to sleep after that call. Nuts.
Sorry, Bella. Could you...
Yep, I got it. The potatoes are almost ready, by the way. I turned down the heat just in case. You might want to check on them, though. Hold on, I'll be right there. Sheesh, wait up. If you keep rapping at the door like that, you'll break it down, Ash.
Oh, good. You're awake.
Ash has already welcomed himself in when I take my eyes away from the oven. He's never really been keen with the notion of courtesies after he's warmed up to you, this guy. All 13 of my locks he broke can attest to that. He's a good fellow, though. Maybe a tad bit standoffish at first glance, but he's trustworthy.
Don't you have work today?
I could ask the same of you. Hey, Z-Man.
You're late. Something came up? You need to drop the Z-Man. It's getting old.
Sorry, I got caught up with something at the precinct on the way here. Had to attend to that first before things got out of hand. I'd tell you about it, but you know how it can be with those kinds of things. Later, maybe.
And you're here because...
What? I'm not allowed to say hello?
I doubt you're here because of that.
Ah, my bad. Forgot to mention that. He called earlier looking for you. Rebecca's worried because you didn't come home last night.
You could have called my cell instead.
You weren't picking up. Anyway, I'd really hate to cut this little get-together short, but I need to be somewhere else. Come on, Isabella, let's get you home. I'll drop you off on the way.
Wait, we're going now?
He lightly claps a hand on her arm and begins ushering her out of the apartment, throwing a casual wave at me as they pass. Isabella, on the other hand, doesn't appear too fond of the idea. And sure enough, before they can even cross the threshold, she puts a firm foot down, and the force alone enough to hold them both and catch the taller man off guard. It would have made for a funny picture. The way Ash almost crashes into her and Isabella giving him an indignant pout over her shoulder. Surprise and confusion are in his face all at once, two things that rarely ever grace it if he can help it. A rare moment even for our small group. If only I had my camera with me. Dang.
What is it?
Zach cooked something.
If it's just food, I'll get you something on the way back.
But the food! It's Zach's cooking. Real delicious food that actually tastes like food. At least stay and have a bite. Please? Zach, help me here.
These two, whenever they are in the same room, sometimes it feels like herding a group of unruly kids instead of talking to two mature adults. One moment they're engaged in a pleasant chit-chat, and the next they're bickering over a minor issue. Frankly, if I didn't know any better, I have an overactive imagination. I'd say there's something going on. Never mind how utterly impossible that idea is. Or it might just be me reading too much into things like always. I can always already hear Ash's laughter if I suggest such. This, however, cooked up a feast. I know you're busy. So pretty much one response is gonna make Isabel happy and Ash sad, or Ash happy or Isabella sad.
I don't know about you two, but I think you guys should really stay. I've already made enough food for all of us, and it'd be a waste.
Oh, they both liked it. Really? Wait, yeah. I think Ashlyn was at the same line they were. I don't know.
Why, I cooked up that special honey glazed ham you two keep on yapping about. Got some scalloped potatoes with onions and cheddar to go with it, too.
The oven timer dings. I shoot the two of them an apologetic look well before scantering over the kitchen, mittens in hand. The sweet smell of the glaze and salty tang of the melted cheese wash through the air as soon as I open the door and take out the two trays inside. The scent immediately fills the entire room, and even the door and windows open. The mouth-watering aroma lingers. It feels appealing enough that when I put the dishes down on the counter, another starved stomach protests loudly before a burst of laughter, followed by a burst of laughter. My head snaps up at the two of them, and I can't keep back the smile at the sight they make. Isabella is clinging to the doorframe for support, doubled over with breathless laughter. Ash is the more composed of the two, trying to look unconcerned, but a flush has creeped up his neck and cheeks. It's clear whose stomach that came from, and Isabella is not going to let him live this down.
You're in no place to reject an offer of free food, Frey.
I wasn't rejecting anything. Damn it, I just missed a meal, that's all.
Aw, he's flustered.
Shut it! Those guys at the precinct said it was urgent. Somebody has to be responsible for it.
Well, aren't you precious?
Right. You know, if you keep laughing like that, you'll burst.
I'm sure it won't be as bad as your stomach suddenly rumbling like a starved.
Aye, kiddos, play nice. Food's gonna get cold if we keep this up. Ash, you gonna stay?
Might as well, since Scaredy Cat's so hell-bent on staying.
This is cute. We eventually settle down after the food has been served. The GB's replaced by another round of friendly chatter, followed about what's on the news the night before. There is, however, a conscious effort to avoid mentioning what's currently on the headlines. The dead is never a good topic to talk over food in polite company, this case in particular. The wounds are too fresh, too soon. I'd likely avoid it as well if I were in her position and someone I personally knew passed away in a gruesome manner like that. Though perhaps the closest we got to broaching the topic was when the infamous mansion is brought up again. But even then, we are careful, Ash and I. We keep the conversation light and avoid bringing it up for her late business partners the best we could do.
The Wrights? Yeah, they're planning to move in soon. In fact, they already have a housewarming party planned. It's why they wanted us to rush the papers. They wanted to send the invitations out as soon as possible.
Oh, now I get it.
Get what?
Remember what I told you last night about the new clients?
Vaguely? Sorry, was it the photo shoot?
Yep, it's actually for the one you sold. Something. When you put it that way, I suppose it makes sense why my boss wants me to prioritize the couple. They can have those documents rushed at just a snap of their fingers. And they're more influential than I initially thought. Man, I guess my boss is expecting a lot more from this project than I expected. Hope I can live up to it.
Your photographs are more than good enough, Zach. You'd probably win an international award if you let yourself. Ma'am Hana's easy to please, too. As long as you're good at following instructions.
Easier said than done. Different clients have different tastes after all.
Still, a week? I don't think that's possible.
Now that you mentioned it, yeah. They wanted everything finished at the earliest. To be honest, it's not unheard of, but...
But it's still still weird, yeah?
A slip of the tongue. Still barely noticeable. Who's already familiar with Ash's weight, yet in this moment it's impossible to miss. I shoot him a curious glance, but he ignores it, rather poignantly.
I can't exactly say it's like that, where I'm just the middleman after all. As much as I want to comment on it, I only know what's on the surface, not the in and outs.
Wait, what did Ash say?
But it's still weird. Still weird, yeah?
Alright, okay.
It's just that BRC and my boss are more hands-on with the legal stuff this time, despite having a separate department dedicated to it.
Maybe Mr. Wright helped with it too. They have their own legal team for this, don't they?
Well, they should have one. Especially for a big property like this.
They have, but like I said, it's off our hands. Rose and I don't handle this stuff in the office. If anything, to me, this just means I'll be able to send the rest of the funds to Papa's treatment earlier.
I guess that makes a whole lot of sense. Officially off our instant noodle diet, aren't we?
Ash, has anyone ever told you that you have an uncanny way of ruining the mood?
What? I was just saying. A few more months of stuffing your face with those, and I'm sure you'll start to look like a noodle cup. That's a pretty picture.
At least I don't live off convenience store food. Or make poor, unassuming pressure cookers explode.
What? How did you... Oh, come on, Zach.
Sorry, it just came up while we were cooking earlier.
I'm impressed, Ashton Frey. You even made it to the news.
A one-time thing. And it wasn't as big as you seem to be imagining.
Oh, sure. Let's all pretend that one time you almost set my apartment on fire didn't happen too.
Hey, that was an accident.
You were making a salad, Ash.
Can we please move on to a different topic?
It helps. The casual talk, the harmless teasing, and the mundane stories interesting enough to let the time pass unnoticed. By the time lunch ends, the shadows are no longer at a forefront of my mind. It is the same for Isabella. For whatever troubles her, I can never tell. These things, the anxiety, the fear, they ain't easily seen, ain't easily forgotten after all.
You go on ahead. I've got a few things I need to ask Zach. I'll be downstairs in a minute.
Confusion briefly flashes in her eyes as she catches the keys he tosses over but doesn't give her an answer and waves for her to go ahead.
How sure are you I won't be driving away with your Shirley?
You don't even have a license. Do you even know how to?
Papa taught me how. I'm probably a better driver than you. See you later, Zach. Thanks for the food.
Always has to have the last word, don't you?
You're welcome. I'll send you the recipe for the potatoes tonight.
The grin is back on her face when she leaves and closes the door behind her. For a little while after we're left alone, Ash goes wholly quiet, listening, waiting for her remaining footsteps in the hall to fade. The earlier amusement is gone from his face, replaced by what I can only describe as interpretation? I know that look all too well. When he's like this, he's expecting shit about to go down at some point soon.
That wasn't very nice, Ash. What was that with Isabella earlier? You're usually subtler with your questions.
They hired you.
Hired me who? Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here?
The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them.
Is that what this is all about?
Just be careful around them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple. I'd rather you stay as far away from them as possible, but you're already here. Isabella's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Luxburn.
Okay. I guess I'll just have to take your word for it.
He nods, claps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often he fumbles with what he wants to say, but his actions alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is for the trust. He reaches for the knob as soon as he gets to the door, and he doesn't turn it. Instead, he looks back and gestures with his head toward the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know what he's going to ask about. He's likely taken notice of it the moment he entered the room.
You back on those? I haven't seen you taking them in a year.
Yeah, I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest. The dreams, that is. I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
Heard about that. Don't drop it, though. You don't want Becca scolding you. She actually enjoyed the movie you made, and she's hard to please. Consider that a small victory.
You don't have to tell me. She already did. Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully, once I feel better, I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her.
Thanks. That's all I'm asking.
This time, when he reaches for the door, he lets it close fully behind him without glancing back. Ashen arrived to fetch Isabella hours later, but she didn't want to leave after all the food they prepared. In the end, Ash requested and stayed. The Wrights and Zach's upcoming gig were few topics touched during the talk over breakfast. Alright. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letter on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Armagard Mansion at right 11 a.m. After Ashen's warnings, they all hold a different meaning now. October 27th, Thursday! It's midnight. Why is it midnight? Okay, wait. Zach, your humming is really annoying a little bit. Okay, this is before he goes to the mansion. The next 2 days rush by in a blur, although leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up in new unexpected acquaintances or friends. Depends on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set for an overeager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius good, has a vision and knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
There is nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I have grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if you need be. Rinse and repeat. Certainly takes a while to get some footing on the field, but it's a kind of thing that pays off in the long run as long as you keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with the big names on the client list. Names like the Wrights in particular. I never did pay attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. A party here, an acquaintance accusation there. Sometimes it's a new business venture, other times it's everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working with such a high-profile couple. But between that and the fuss that comes with or leaves me no matter to ponder over what happens to Isabella or why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
So, wait, is this after? I don't know the date. I don't remember it. I think it's after the mansion. I think so. Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal. But just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came of it. And eventually, it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he hadn't had good points at all. Miss Wright, Hannah herself, though. Yeah, that's after. She ain't particularly bad the way the press makes her out to be. The tabloids had it all wrong, that's for sure. For someone born with a silver spoon in her mouth, well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. Among other things, the newfound friendship is what I least expected from her, but here we are. Although with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given the chance. See, yeah, like, he feels the same. Heck, she might have even ended up friends with Rebecca and Isabella, too. If they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beat quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. In one practiced motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a dry rack and amble over my makeshift dark room to get the last photos from the water bath. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor gets another soft clank before holding on his standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. It's the last one tonight for the set Miss Wright requested. I don't usually make this habit, giving away stuff like that is. It's just bad for business, no matter how well-intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however. She did treat me well and was a pleasant companion all throughout the shoot. Even if she didn't ask, I would have probably given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Miss Wright ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. And maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in her smiles. Always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like these helps. A little reminder that the world can be kind too. Water drips from the paper as I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on another tray holding a decent amount of photo flu. A few seconds under the solution, it all needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body already screams for a distant snooze. My hand fumbles for the light switch, moving towards it with familiarity, whatever. While I fish for a squeegee among the mess of tools on a drawer with the other. The bulb flickers twice before its glow settles and casts a soft light in the tiny space. When I glance back down, squeegee in hand, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night. Jump scare!
What on earth?
Jump scare, yep. Her head is gone. Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the sweet smile the good woman carried in all the previous prints.
Damn, that was too careless.
Nope. Wasn't you. common mistake to make, of course, if one is neglectful enough to pick a newly processed photo in the dark, like I apparently did. It has happened before, loads of time actually, but I still can't help but feel a little pang of frustration over one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reach up to switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
Memory clicks. One cursory thought, and a sea of many in a short yet distant second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. There was a shadow. No. Well, that's terrifying. A woman. In her 20s or early 30s, maybe. But with how far her flesh alone was become, it's not possible to tell at first glance. The skin itself was taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most places, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands gripped Miss Wright's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of red, scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me, but for Miss Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
Some of Hannah's shots from the photo shoot the day before I came disordered after Zachary developed them. He would have almost dismissed it as a human error if he hadn't remembered a chilling memory from yesterday's shoot. The memory alone is enough to make me retch. I brushed it off then. A trick of the eye, I told myself, or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. And well, blaming this unusual fatigue on an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part is far more convenient. It makes a whole lot of sense then when what the small voice inside my head whispers. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's afoul. The same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. And with each second I spend staring at this photograph, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears. Someone has to know. Show the photo to Ash. Show the photo to Hannah. Okay, not Hannah, because she's already possessed. She's possessed, like she's gone. And that would just make Zach more of a victim, I think. Besides, I kind of gave up on their romance, so I don't wanna show the photo to Ash, even though he doesn't believe in ghosts and shit, but someone needs to know. I'm gonna save anyway. Show the photo to Ash. Ash will give me flank for this, he will. I can already hear what he's going to say about this moment I bring it up. There's no new updates of relationships, I get, okay. No one cares. Hell, before he even sees anything, I'll wager. The guy is a skeptical through and through. I'll take more than my account for him to even consider this. But when I've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs in the back of my neck and leave you wanting to flee and hide, what he thinks is the least of my concerns. I am no hero. That's the title best reserved for someone else. Still, if this will help him change his mind, it's worth a try. Alright, well, the story keeps updating, so what the fuck's happening? Boop, boop. Oh, tell Ash. Okay, I totally... Alright, okay, Alright. Well, there's now multiple choices of that, so I totally skipped over that top thing, so don't know what's going on with that. Isabella's gone and done the same thing, didn't she? Outside, the sun is yet to rise. I've still got a few hours before dawn, good enough to mull over how I'll go about this with him, plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result if I redo the process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives out a small click, and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
Oh, okay, we're not gonna do a weird jump scary thing where she appears. Sometimes I wish Ash would make himself easier to find. 24 messages, 13 phone calls, and one visit to his flat later. I still have no idea which rock in Luxmore he went out to hide under again. The guy has his own place but refuses to stay in it. Has his own phone but doesn't answer any of his calls or give any indication he's gotten any of my messages. Most of the time, he'll just show up on my front door. Sometimes in the middle of the night, complaining how uncomfortable it is to sleep at the back of his car. As if the old couch in my flat is any better. Nothing new from him though, but a bit frustrating, really. There's a police precinct, of course. Then again, he's not there most of the time either. And if they're also true of her today, he's mostly out in others' stakeout. There's nothing much to do for me but to wait if that's the case.
Let's just hope I'm lucky enough today.
Yeah, okay. Different. Well, Luxmore is relatively a peaceful city, boasting a low crime rate. Its precinct stays abuzz with activity. As soon as I open the glass front doors, murmurs coming from the people waiting in the lobby welcome me. Officers can occasionally be seen shuffling in and out of the rooms, greeting civilians with a casual smile and polite nod. Some, though, look a little wistful, like their receptionist, who looked at me with a much disdain the moment I arrived. Thankfully, I won't have to deal with him today. Before I can even step in, Ash's voice, though low, comes from the hallway adjacent to the lobby.
Not even for just 1 minute?
No. The case was dismissed, remember?
You were the one handling that case.
If you want access to those records, you've got to ask Chief. I was taken off it before shit went to hell.
Oh, that's a new character.
Why do you even bother? Even Professor Clark seems to have given up on that.
Well, never mind.
Right. I know you owe Professor Clark a lot, but the right guy isn't just someone you mess with. They've got the money. Who knows what else gets swept under the rug with them involved.
That takes a special kind of ignorant not to know.
And a smart person to know which boundaries he can't cross. You're a bright guy, you'll figure it out. In any case, I've got to get going. Another missing person case on my hand. Benjamin on the front desk looks like he's about to maul someone after the fourth one yesterday. Murders, people missing, what a time to be alive. Man, I miss the old Luxburn.
You and me both. I'll see ya. Gonna go grab some lunch.
He noticed me first as soon as he entered the lobby and paused. Confusion briefly crosses his face until I fish out the phone from my pocket and wave it up. Frowning, he pulls his own mobile out, wordlessly fiddling with it for a few seconds, before sighing heavily. There ain't any annoyance in him when he glances up, though. Wow. There ain't any annoyance in him when he glances up, though. Only mild only mild surprise and what might be a hint of amusement.
Stop taking pointers from Isabella. This is gonna get old soon.
At least use your phone properly.
It's an alarm clock, a good note-taking device, a halfway decent camera, and maybe a music player too. If I'm being nice. What else do I need it for?
I don't know, keeping in contact maybe?
When he merely shrugs, I know I've struck a chord. He's far from holding a piece of technology in contempt, of course. Ash has always been nothing but practical from the start, and technology is useful. Only when he gets too focused on one thing, like a case he's handling, he tends to forget there are other things around him. A little reminder and a nudge in the right direction can get him a long way.
I've got an email on that social media site the girls roped us into joining.
That doesn't make any sense. Also, you've got an account before any of us had one.
For policing purposes? Anyway, why are you here? I thought you have something scheduled today. Or was that yesterday?
That was yesterday. Look, about that, there's something I want you to see.
He stops me from tapping. He stops me with a tap on my shoulder, walks past me straight to the door, and gestures with a head towards their very irked receptionist when I raise an eyebrow in question.
Over lunch. I haven't eaten anything since last night, and Benjamin there doesn't really like loiterers around here.
Wordlessly, I follow after him, not after sending the poor guy behind the table an apologetic smile. As expected, he takes the seat in the furthest corner of the cafe, a good way from the window, but easily allows a view who comes and goes. Secluded enough not to be disturbed by the lunch hour rush or to be overheard by the curious bystander. If I didn't know this is lunch he invited me to, I would have automatically assumed I got dragged into another stakeout. After years of knowing him, though, this has simply become one of the many habits he has had that I've gotten used to. Nothing changed? Yeah? Nothing changed. Food arrives minutes later. Oh my god, is that a fucking latte with Ash's face on it? A slice of their vegetarian quiche. For me, meanwhile, Ashton was opted for a cup of coffee plus a gracious serving of...
You having cake for lunch?
He shrugs and then proceeds to dig in without even a hint of remorse. Frankly, it's like seeing a child get his Christmas present early.
Don't tell Becca. I'll get an earful. It's just for today.
You should listen to her, though. The kind of work you do, you'll need to eat something other than sweets. I don't want to see you drop dead in front of my apartment again.
I told you, just this once. Have you been hanging out with Becca lately? You're beginning to sound like her.
Nah, just for some recipes. But she has the right to worry, you know? It's like she's taking care of two kids. One bitches on sweets, while the other on cup noodles. At least Bella knows how to cook.
Hey, I can at least boil something. Wait, that's easy, right? I mean, you just put water in and...
No, don't even think about it. You destroyed your own kitchen once by sticking a pressure cooker on it. I think my sister is a whole lot better than you. And this is coming from someone who has no other choice but to eat her cooking for some time.
To be fair, he he appeared offended at the last remark. Genuinely offended. Okay. Hate will be too strong of a word to describe how Sis and him usually interact whenever they're in the same room. Though whatever appropriate word it is, I can say with most certainty that the feeling's mutual for both. Ash thinks she nags too much, while Sis thinks he's a trouble magnet I should stay away from. They're both technically right on their assessments.
How's your sister, by the way? Still bullying white guys?
What should I say? She's married to one now. You're the one who started it. She's married to one now?
You do know she's married to one now.
I hope she doesn't end up poisoning him with her cooking.
Okay, that was good. He liked that.
Pot calling the kettle black?
She can't be better than me.
Actually, she is now. They're planning to start a restaurant sometime in the future.
I was bedridden for days after eating some of the stuff she whipped up. And now you're letting her cook for other people?
Don't exaggerate. It was just for one day, and you're the one who refused to leave your apartment. You should come by, though. Sis gave birth a few days ago. Girl, I've only seen the pictures. but I might visit sometime after everything's settled down. Too many backlogs to go through for now.
No way in hell. She'll just find something to criticize again. Last time, it was Shirley.
He makes a show of being utterly mortified, though I'm quite sure he doesn't mean any of that. He might not say it straight out, but I'm pretty sure he's enjoying the small visits whenever he can. Something about it reminds him of his own family, sort of like making up for the one he never got back after his parents separated. Sore spot, that one topic, one thing he never ever brings up in any conversation, if he can help it. And I've never seen the need to be nosy. There are some wounds you're just not meant to open, and for the both of us, the sentiment goes the same way.
As if you ain't already on a shit list. You're just afraid of her.
In your dreams. But I'll think about it. Can't just drop this thing at the moment.
His change in tone is subtle, but his aggravation over the matter hangs completely palpable in the air.
Still no closer?
The opposite, actually. There's been some slip-ups here and there. Careless mistakes, and let's just say I'm waiting for him to make another one. What about you? How are things on your end?
All piled up on top of the other. But I can manage. Still recovering from the expenses for the movie, so the surge in new projects helps. Well, there's this one thing.
The expression on his face grows more puzzled with each photo I spread on the table. There's about 8 of them, all of it reprints of the same thing, Miss Wright's distorted head on the photo. He takes a minute to go through each, eyeing the prints warily. The furrow over his brow doesn't ease even as he gathers all of it into one pile, sets them in one neat stack in front of me with a heavy sigh.
Hannah Wright?
Yeah. How did you...
The locket. She never takes it off. Evan's family heirloom.
I won't even think about asking why, or if he's investigating them, he'll likely have already dug up every unimaginable dirt on them, including family history.
Are you done with your work with them?
Yesterday, yeah. That's just a small feature for a magazine. Interviews, photos, standard stuff, nothing big.
Branching tree. Bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop. Okay. Story update, common route. Common route. She's married to one of... Okay, just so you know, the reason... Wait, no, I haven't done this chapter yet. I like to go back and explore different routes. Turns out, you could totally end Hannah's chapter by her not getting possessed. So I kind of fucked up. Not gonna lie. But that's okay. I kind of justified it as like her being possessed is kind of more of an interesting storyline than her not getting possessed. So that's just my justification.
But see, here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this out there without sounding crazy, but there really is something odd with that place. Remember the letter?
He drags in a breath, reaches up with his nose and pinches it. Like, the action alone will help grant him all the patience in the world to continue this conversation.
Please tell me this isn't about that again.
Oh my god, Ash, I will fucking slap you. You skeptic piece of shit.
No, Ash, you've got to listen this time.
Yeah, Zach, rub it in. Do it.
I am listening, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth.
Oh, fuck you. Sorry.
These are some blurred out photos, and that letter is just a stupid prank. I expected this from Isabella, not you.
Oh, fuck you.
You're the photographer here. I don't see any need to get worked up over this.
I know what you mean, but will you hear me out first?
Ash leans back on his seat and doesn't say anything further. He gestures for me to continue with a wave of his hand and patience clearly on his face. Bitch! Any other person telling him this, and he'll walk out without batting an eye. I suppose the only reason he's giving me the benefit of the doubt is because we know each other.
Ash, I don't easily buy into these things as much as you do. Yesterday, though, behind Hana.
He blinks at that, his eyebrows lifting momentarily before settling in a deep frown.
Hana? Since when were you on a first-name basis with the right missus?
Why does that even matter?
I thought you said this was just a gig.
His voice stays level, but the accusation is clear as day. Dude, this is not a fucking... Bitch, calm the fuck down. It hints a nerve in me somehow more than that tone usually does. I do get where he's coming from, but that's not the point here. It's really just a gig. Bitch! Let's just see what the branching tree has. Bloop 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 bloop. Okay. Question. Oh, this could go to either ways. That's interesting. Huh. Alright. The top one has this. I'm getting. You know what? I'm not even gonna try to rig this game to make everyone live. I'm just gonna say what I'm gonna. That's not the point here. It's not. Oh, it's a minus. He didn't like that. Of all the things I said, my connection to the rights is the first thing he points out. As much as I want to keep my annoyance at bay, I can't stop it from seeping into my voice.
That's completely beside the point here, Ash.
I warned you, Zach.
Oh my god! Oh my god.
I get it, alright? But you can't just expect me to turn it down after I made a commitment to a client. I've got to put food on my table.
I didn't say you shouldn't, but you should not be messing with them.
I wasn't messing with them.
And this isn't?
He waves the photos in front of me before dropping the pile on the table with a loud smack. I don't need to look to know we've already attracted some attention in the lunchtime type crowd. Besides, turning away from him feels almost the same as admitting he's right. There are things more important than his damn case right now. I wish he'd see that.
It was a job, and that ain't how these photos were intended to come out. You think I'd go out of my way just to edit something like this? There's something weird going on here.
And you think Luke Wright will see it that way? You think the right missus will find it amusing?
I did not do this for my amusement, Ash. People's lives might be at stake here.
If you understood that in the first place, we wouldn't be having this stupid talk. Luke fucking Wright is a dangerous man, Zach.
This isn't I get that. I know he's a dangerous man, but this conversation is not about him right now. Get your head out of your own fucking ass.
Keep hanging around them and you'll find yourself burnt
Zach
to a
is
crisp
not
in your
fucking
apartment
hanging
or
around with
floating down
them.
a
Oh
river
my
3 days
god.
later.
Oh my god.
This case is...
Will you stop talking about the damn case for once and just listen to me? Why do you think Isabella's...
Don't you dare bring her into this. We're talking about you and this stupid...
Oh, of course you don't want to talk about it. Because you're fucking afraid there's some damn truth to what she's saying now that there's two of us.
Ooh. Sorry, the story update. Okay. Coming around. Alright. Every expression drains from his face as soon as the words are out of my mouth. They've hit their mark. Each urgence, each utterance skews sharp with nothing but anger and the truth. Yet they are also things I won't typically say out loud in good company, and rather ease people into it before letting it fall. Almost immediately a wave of regret washes over me.
Ash, dude, that ain't what I meant to.
You said enough, Zach.
Without another word, he stands, his chair scraping loudly against the floor, all while my brain races to find something to fix this. Ours ain't a fragile friendship by any means. I like to think we've gone past the stage when we find everything the other says insulting. But there are times when letters and phrases alone can cut deep than any blade. Mine might even leave a scar. Just, he doesn't let me, however. Instead, he sets a card in front of me. The name is familiar, but amidst the cloud of remorse swirling inside my head, I can't bring myself to recall where I've seen it.
You shouldn't be running blind. Call this guy. He'll be less inclined to shout at you. Might even talk some sense into you.
Bitch. Like, as a player, I don't regret that Zach yelled at him, because Ash had his own head far up too, like, he was too blind. Zach was trying to go one direction, and Ash was just going another direction because his head is so into this case that he's so blind to everything else. So, I don't regret Zach yelling at him. I know Zach does, but I don't. Thursday, October 27th. Disturbed, Zachary decided to show the photographs to Ash. During lunch at the coffee house, they briefly discussed Zach's sister before the topic veered on the photos. Refusing to believe his friend Ashton advised him to talk to Andrew instead. That's like seriously, he's that, like, I know what Zach said was hurtful, particularly, you know, like, the bringing up Isabella, but, like, he needs to understand that this is very real. Of course it is. Like, there's no doubt about that. But, like, he needs to realize that there's more to the world, especially now, than his fucking case. I don't see his face when he leaves, and it is only when the store's bell chimes again do I breathe.